All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Dojo. Today we have a vendor spotlight. We have Jake Ackerman. He is the guy that you want to talk to. We're always about helping you save money. And Jake is somebody that is going to help you multiply your money. So without further ado, we have Jake Ackerman. And Jake, welcome today. How are you doing?
Hey, Deanna. Doing very well. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, we're looking forward to getting this conversation started, and just to kind of get us kicked off, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. Kind of like your origin story. How did you get started, and what kind of brought you down this path that we're on today?
Well, I was born and raised in Michigan, and as a young early 20-year-old, decided to move down to Florida and retire. The retirement phase didn't play out as well as I'd hoped. So, had to finish up school, get a job, and then started down the path of the financial world. Originally, I was actually just a trader, was really successful at that. And then, hey, how can I take this skill level and transition it to practicality for other people to use? And, right, financial advisor, what does it take to get there? And finish up my licensing, finish it up my school, and then went down the path as an early kind of an intern financial advisor working for a small firm, worked my way up the ladder, got some more education on the tax side as my clientele started to broaden. We started to get physicians, high net worth individuals, business owners that are making, high revenues, million plus in revenue for their S corporation, and then you had some C corporations come in making 10 million. It was like, wow, we really have to expand our skill level. Making money is great, right? We all love to make money. What is the most important to the business owners that are making that really high level of income, whether that's personal income, W-2, or the business income? It's keeping it. It's not just making money, it's keeping that money that really counts. So that's been the since the early inception of Acriman Financial. Once I separated from my last broker dealer quite a while ago, a long time ago, and then started Ackerman Financial for those practices, for those high net worth individuals, and really we built our lane, and it's really for tax planning, tax mitigation strategies. And then we brought on teams of CPAs to really enhance what we're doing. And then I have a tax attorney partner. And then we have these other associates and partners that are a part of our organization that specializes in tax code, that, when a bill's passed, when case law is ruled on, how do our clients really take advantage of that? The billionaires pay 1.1% in taxes. How do they do it? What are they doing? They don't have any less they don't have more information than we do. They just have access to the expertise, access to the teams that can implement it. So we wanted to be one of the teams that can help our clients really get to the next level and take their business to max capacity. And the way to do that is, again, following the tax code, getting your tax bill, your tax liability down to close to zero legally and ethically as possible.
That's awesome. Oh, I mean, honestly, that's something that I know is valuable to the people that we serve. What are some of the big challenges you've seen or experienced in your industry right now that you're helping your clients with?
So again, access to information is prevalent. I mean, you could find, cash balance pension plans. You can find Augusta rule. You can find information on how to make certain charitable contributions. You can find how to invest into royalties. It's not just having access to the information, it's having the expertise to implement it. So the challenge is my clients have heard about it, prospects have heard about those things, but they really don't know how to do it. And then once we show them how to do it, it's an eye-opening experience. But even though we show them how to do it, explain it, it's easier said than done. So it's not just, hey, here's how we're going to do it. Here's how it works. Here's how much we can save you. There's so many nuances, little forms, ways to put things on your tax returns to make the strategy kosher, make it compliant. So, that's the challenge, is making sure the client fulfills all the tax strategies that we actually do recommend for them. So
Okay.
that's why we're a concierge service, because it's not just about the recommendations, it's about ensuring implementation.
Right. And so that's what I was going to follow up with. How do we, like, let's say we started partnering together, we work together. How would you help me ensure that I actually get those things done? Because like I have heard of some of those things like you mentioned, but at the end of the day, we have to connect the dots, right? So I'm assuming that you have some type of way that you help the implementation process.
Yeah. So first and foremost, you have to have a preemptive plan. So you have to have a plan in place, a roadmap of really what we're going to do, what strategies we're going to implement, what's the liquidity needs, or what's the expansionary process of the business. Are they going to be hiring people? They're going to be renovating their building? Are they going to be buying a building? So those are all things that we have to take into consideration when we're building these plans. So the plans are preemptive. We do them before they actually take place. Most of the time. I mean, right now we're going to take on clients for early 2025 for 2024 tax year. So we have to retroactively go back, and it's easier said than done. There is going to be money left on the table because you have to do things and get things done before the end of the year. Now, we still have a little window here, but it's the longer we go down to 2025, the less we can do for 2024. But there's still things that we can do. But anyways, so we'd like to do is make sure we have a plan before the fact so we can help clients engineer the tax mitigation strategy and the savings. And that's very important that that's done. That way we're all on the same page. We know, not just me, our CPA team, our implementation, our clients managers know what need to be done. And then we carry on down the line as we go through the year. Each month or each quarter, we talk about what needs to be done with the clients. Did they implement this? How did this go? Were there any changes? 'Cause I can't tell you how many times, and this is just being a business owner, that you get a quarter, 2 quarters into the year, and you go, oh, well, things have changed a little bit. I'm actually going to do that expansionary project this year. Or hey, we're going to hire a new NP to our practice and our revenue is going to bump up. Or there's a cost that we have to prepare for. So not only do these plans, we have to have a roadmap, these plans have to be flexible as well. And that's one of our teams is prepared for. Any changes, we can act accordingly for them.
That's awesome. So would we say that you would meet with your client a couple times, like once a month, every quarter, or is this something that, they're like, hey, this is what's changing in my area. What do we do now? And then your team kind of reacts with the changes.
A level of need is based on the clientele. I mean, larger, more complex practices, sometimes they need a lot of help at the beginning. They have to restructure their foundation. Getting that foundation laid is critical. It gives us the ability to achieve the success that we're looking for. If we don't have the foundation laid right, we're in big trouble. So sometimes for the first month, there's many communications, like multiple times a week. I'm available by, we have a texting app that allows us to receive text from our clients. We can respond to immediately. So sometimes I'm getting texts at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Hey, this is what's going on. How can I do this? What needs to be done? What do you guys need? And that's what we got to do. Some clients have things pretty laid out, and maybe we need on a monthly basis.
Right.
It's really just dependent on the client, but we're at least talking to them, once a month, once a quarter at the very least.
Okay. So then, so when these changes happen, you and your team, you have some, from my understanding is you have multiple departments that are all kind of helping along. It's not just one person that is kind of helping everything along, but you have a whole team with you. Now, you did mention that sometimes there's like, you have to change the formation and different things like that. Is there, and you talked about a roadmap. So what is the goal, I guess, for some of the practices that we're working with? Like some are opening multiple practices. Some maybe have just started with their first one. What are some things that that maybe we can talk about that could help people that have multiple practices or looking to open up multiple practices that that maybe some of your solutions could help with?
more capital. Our objective for our clients is to get them to close to zero legally and ethically as possible within their objective. If they need more liquidity needs, again, we're going to get it as close to zero as possible, but maybe they need to have an extra 100K on their bottom line because they need it for expansionary purposes. So it really, again, just kind of depends on what they need. We can facilitate whatever plan that whatever really needs that they require for their practice, whether it's expansion or we're just happy with where we're at right now, and we just want to save every dollar that we can. And then, so that's one of our objectives. And then number two is, we work with hundreds of practices. We know what works and what doesn't work. Now, do we know everything that works? Of course not. There's always going to be new developments. If I had a crystal ball, I could tell you exactly what's going to work. I mean, we'd be doing great. However, what I can tell you is, for experience, a lot of the time is what does not work. I can tell you that. Okay, that's not going to work. Seen that go through. No, that's not going to work. Again, but I'm sure there's other things that don't work that we'll figure out as we go along here. But so, and then also what resources. So you have access to information, whatever their successful practices, and how to scale. Scaling is very important. Different parts in your, scaling process from 500 to 1 million is a lot different from 1 million to 10 million or 1 million to 5 million. It's a different dynamic altogether. So how does a practice achieve that? Well, we can give you a blueprint. We've watched it happen. We help our clients achieve it. We know how to do it. Here's what needs to be done.
Do you have can you walk us through like a success story or an example of how maybe your solution has helped someone solve like a major problem like that before?
Here's I can give you a high level one and a lower level. I don't want to say low level. I can give you a different places in their careers. I guess we can start with a higher one, a client that's their business really started taking off. It was a kind of a concierge service of all different. Let's see, you had weight loss, you had your general practice, you had your laser therapy, your wound care. One of those firms that offer everything under one roof. IV solutions. So they were doing fantastic, but they were having trouble getting to that real next level. So they were at about $15 million in revenue S corporation. They wanted to branch out. They wanted to start franchising, but they were just, the business owner was just the business. He was having a really hard time taking it to the next level. I mean, his kids were helping run it, but really his mind was on just the business operations because he's been working so hard over the last decade to get it to where it was today. We came in and right off the bat, we're able to help him transition from an S corporation to a C corporation, help him put all the compliance and the right procedures in place, handles his books. Well, my CPA team handled their books, the payroll, the different tax mitigation strategies we set up for him, and ended up saving him over like $1.5 million, really year one, just by making those changes right off the bat. And now we're looking at 25 million the subsequent year, and then 44 million the year after that. So, I mean, major growth in a few years. It really, really took off. And it really started with freeing up a lot of more capital so that he can expand and hire the right strategic partners. So he's not running around working 16-hour days and getting sick all the time because he's working so much. But that's the life of a business owner, right?
Right.
And another one was transitioning from really about 750 solo practice, no NPs, no PAs. It was just him and his wife was on payroll, and they had one admin. So it was how do we want to start making 2 million, start making 3 million. So really, how do we do that? Number one, you guys' tax area right now, you're not doing everything you can. In fact, you're not doing nearly as much as you can. And this might have been one practice we actually introduced you guys to, MedPro Dojo, because they're billing. They were also leaving a lot of money on the table for their billing. I can't tell you how much they're leaving on there, but it was. I guess this is a pretty common problem for the medical practices. So, getting there, making sure that they have a process for their billing, not just for them because they understood, but for their staff. That's something that our team really doesn't handle. But that's not only what you get when you work with us, you get our connections, our partnerships, our associates, and that would be one of you guys. So it's a great thing. So anyways, we're taking them from 750 to 2 million, had to put some tax strategies in place, help them bring on the right supportive provider staff. So the NPs, PAs, and what did they need to do that? They needed more capital because they were wasting it a lot on overpaying, bad insurance billing. So once we got that squared away, it took us about another 3.5 years, and they're well above their target this year.
Nice. So one part is you basically take all the data, all the information, who they are, what they do, what kind of practices they have, maybe other businesses, things like that. And you look at it kind of like in a holistic way where you're able to identify maybe some things, like you mentioned, the billing. That's something that you guys don't necessarily do, but you're able to kind of look at it at like a bird's eye view, seeing, okay, this might be out. This is something that we got to look at. And is that how you guys come up with that strategy?
You to be able to build a strategy, I really have to understand what your business is doing and understand how it's passing through to you as you as the person, or you and your spouse. So I mean, especially for S corporations, everything's a pass through. So we really got to understand what's going on, not just from the business perspective, but what their individual needs are. And then once you get in there and start building this and understand what their liquidity needs are, what their objective is, you can start giving them business consulting relationships or business consulting advice. Because, I mean, there's certain things that work, certain things that don't. And when you have access to hundreds of practices that are successful, it's a blueprint.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little bit different, but there's still a blueprint to success.
Love it. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you've been very successful helping a lot of your clients, and then just coming up with, your whole strategy on how you create your roadmap and help everybody. I would just want to ask, like, what's the most rewarding part for you in this industry and then helping your clients?
Oh, certainly when we go to file their taxes. So it'll be towards the end of the year for 2025 or for 2024, because what we'll usually do is file an extension for the previous tax year. So all of our work for 2024 that we just are still implementing and will implement for the first half of 2025, when our CPA team goes to file it, and then I get a call from the client going, oh my gosh, I just saved X amount of dollars. That was way more than you quoted me at. I can't believe everything worked out. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. And then a week later, I get a call from Dr. Bob. Hey, Jake, so-and-so just referred me to you, said they saved a ton of money. I'd like to talk to you. Those are the two most rewarding things. That one is, hey, we were really successful. The client saved as much money, way more than we quoted it at. They're very happy. They're so appreciative that they sent us one of their friends. That's the work speaks for itself. That's how we know we truly did a good job. And then also laying out targets that we've put in place, a 5-year, 10-year target. And our target is to have X amount of dollars in revenue and X amount of dollars saved up in my wealth accumulation portfolio. And then we meet all those objectives sooner rather than their target date. And then I get to call them and say, hey, guess what? I see, I'm looking at your return here. You guys met your revenue target. Also, here's how much we have saved up. Here's was our plan 5-10 years ago. Take a look at it. We were able to succeed and accomplish what we set out to do.
Wow, that's amazing. That's very, I would say, fulfilling and rewarding, obviously, right? Especially with the word of mouth, like you mentioned. I think that speaks for itself, right? So that's awesome. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that do the same thing that you do. Okay. So it's kind of like a two-part question. What would you say makes you a little bit different from maybe somebody else?
I'm so happy you asked that. We're not like any other firm out there. We do not have any competition. We do not compete with CPA firms. We are not like a traditional CPA firm who just does your tax preparation work, gives you a little bit of tax advice, tax mitigation strategies that you can do at the end of the year for the previous year. I never give you any recommendations. They don't ever give you recommendations. They don't tell you what needs to be done. They're not creative. If you ask them, hey, CPA partner friend, can I do this? They're going to be like, no, that's not what we do. We are that same question. Jake, can I do this? Or, Jake, CPA partner, can I do this? No, that is not the question you should be asking us. It's how do I do this? How do I achieve this? How do I engineer this? And these plans that we built, we actually help them implement all throughout the year. We're a concierge service. So we provide this tax plan, the implementation side, which is just an element that every CPA firm leans out. So we have a really unique niche that we don't compete with CPA firms. We certainly don't compete with other financial advisory firms or RIAs or other financial planners because of this unique lane that we have. So that's really how we're different. We do concierge service, the tax planning. We have to make sure they implement it. Our CPAs do the bookkeeping, the payroll, the tax preparation work, and then we also help them invest their money because we're licensed financial advisors. So you get a kind of a one-stop shop, an umbrella of a concierge service from investing, the taxes, the tax preparation, the business consulting, really all under one roof. So yeah, no CPA firms, they don't have the expertise to do what we do.
Wow, that's amazing, honestly, because I know I have dealt with some, CPAs, and you ask the questions because you see those videos online that say you can, rent your house or you can do these certain things and like you could save all these, have these tax strategies. But at the end of the day, there's not maybe a full answer as to how you can implement those. And that sounds like that's what you do. You're like, hey, I have this thought. Is this something I can do? And then you guys help to kind of bridge that gap between the business owner and you and your team. So
yeah, and there's little nuances too that people just aren't aware of. And then they just don't describe that. They'll give them, hey, you can do this, you can do this, but they never see it fulfilled. They never see it through, and they don't really properly show the clients how to actually do it. And then they leave a ton of, or they do it wrong, and they leave a ton of money. Great example. I've ran thousands of cash balance grants proposals. It's insane the amount of proposals that I ran for cash balance plans, which is a defined benefit plan that has some more flexibility. So many nuances to it. Age, how much your W-2s for previous years, your W-2 for this year. There's a bunch of ways to structure it based on how much you want to contribute. I had a client who was trying to max contribute to their cash balance plan and then also save as much amount of money as they possibly could. We were building a tax plan for him. So he paid himself $120,000 and in order to save as much money as possible on his taxes, we actually wanted to bump up his payroll to $250,000. He's able to put more money in a cash balance plan. And the only way for us to know that going from $120,000 to $250,000, which most CPAs would advise against because you're going to pay more FICA tax if you're an S corporation, which so it really, most people think that doesn't make sense, but in fact, he saved an extra $40,000 from doing that. Wow. Now the $40,000 may not be a lot of money for some, but that $40,000 is going to add up, and certainly it's a nice chunk of change.
Absolutely, yeah. You kind of have to look at it in different ways, and it sounds like you've kind of created your little niche on how you view all these like points, right? And so you're connecting the dots, helping people really get to their goals where faster, save money. And then also you mentioned something on the back end of investing. We haven't really talked a little bit about that. But so would you say that people kind of get introduced to you, kind of step into like the tax side, and then once they start, kind of hitting those goals, saving the money, they start with the investment? Or is that something you talk about on the onset, so that way we know that eventually we're going to get to that point?
That's more secondary, the investing side. So for high income earners, you're in the 37% tax bracket. Where on earth can I, in an investment, can I find, other than my own business, a 37% return unless I'm in speculative, let's say like Bitcoin, I'm trying to hit a home run, and maybe I hit a home run or I strike out. So that's a huge dynamic. So when we're making these tax mitigations, there's an investment part to it that it makes sense. Hey, if we do X, we're going to save this amount of dollars, and to keep that money qualified and tax sheltered, we should be, and not just leave it in a bank account, we should invest it for you. What kind of investments would you like? And some clients want to invest their own money. Some clients buy real estate. So I have clients who owns hotels along Madeira Beach and Treasure Island with their retirement plans. I got a client who owns a pinch a penny, a pool cleaning business with their retirement plans. So there's a bunch of different investment options, but it all comes down from the tax plan. That's the most important. That's the biggest ROI. The investments come secondary, and it's just based on, what's the client's objective.
Nice. Okay, great. So I just wanted to clarify. I wanted to know a little bit about how that went, and how that structure would go. So now we've talked about, you've talked about kind of how you got started and all the different things that your company provides and how you're different, because obviously, guys, we want the implementation. We want people to help us along the way. And that's where Jake's teams comes in. So with all that, how do you stay ahead of what's happening in your industry and what's going on, so that way you can bring that back to your clients?
The team of CPAs, team of tax attorney, the association that is really meant to research any court cases or case law and pick apart these new acts that are passed. For example, Secures Act 2.0. You can get a $5,000 tax credit for administrative costs if you set up a retirement plan in 2023, 2024, 2025. How does that actually work? Oh, an auto enrollment benefit of that as well, another $500. Oh, $1,000 per diem per employee making under $100,000. There's just so many little nuances, and so you have to have a team effort and build the duty is to go and research and know this like the back of your hand. So when we're building these plans, we can all coordinate together and again engineer these tax savings to get people as close to zero legally and ethically as possible. Only way to get it done.
Yes. Awesome. So between the taxes and the investments, what do you think, what do you think are some mistakes that people are making right now that that you guys can help with?
They don't have a tax plan and they're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table.
Did you say they don't have a tax plan?
Don't have a tax plan. They got a CPA that they are trusted CPA. I hear this every time I talk to someone. He's all right, gives me some recommendations, but nothing advanced. Well, why not? Well, why are you paying this person all that money, and are you just paying them to file your taxes? Doesn't make any sense. You should be, if you're going to pay someone, pay a team that's going to give you that cost to pay that team and a massive return on investment. That's our objective. When they're paying us, we want to give them a huge return on investment.
That's it. I mean, so we do have a webinar coming up. That's correct, in February with Jake. And so, Jake, can you tell us just a couple things that maybe we'll be going over during that time? Because I know, like right now, we talked about some mistakes. They don't have a tax strategy. They're leaving money on the table. They want to maybe explore certain tax savings, but they don't know what to do. Is that webinar going to help us a little bit with some of those items?
Yeah, we'll share some insights and some strategies that we normally don't share with a lot of our prospective clients until they actually become our clients. We spent a lot of resources and time doing the research to find these little pieces that we can implement for our clients. A lot of man hours, a lot of dollars. So we paid the price to be able to implement those for our clients. But we'll share some of those. So we'll share like a plan with you, and then how does maybe little nuances work and what's the difference between, maybe I'll give that example of the provider getting $120,000, giving himself $120,000 salary instead. Why did it make sense to bump up to 250? So we'll give like some practical examples of what clients experience. I think that would be really beneficial. And then what it would be like to actually implement a sophisticated plan so they can gauge the difference and how they're going to engineer the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and hopefully millions of dollars in tax savings.
Awesome. So you heard it first here. He's going to give you a little sneak peek behind the window, behind the curtain of what they actually do. So remember, his paid clients get access to this. So we are going to make it available to you. You have to register for the webinar, which is going to be February the 19th. So we'll go ahead and make sure that you guys get all that information. Jake, thank you very much for, just sharing, your story, kind of how you got started, and just all these like little things that maybe some entrepreneurs are not thinking about, some business owners are not thinking about. So I appreciate you being here today.
Of course. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome.